President Trump revealed what he called an inspirational letter that President Biden left him in the Oval Office, which read, "Enjoy it. Do a good job." Though Trump thought it was strange that the letter began, "Congrats on being the first black female president."
Yes. He thinks, is it because he thinks that Kamala Harris won? See, and he was leaving a letter for her because now everybody acknowledges that Joe Biden's brain, she's a broke, she's a no good, that brain of his. Now everybody is like, oh yeah, we knew this all along. We always knew this. We just didn't like anyone saying it out loud. You don't want to be saying it out loud. No, sir. Well, good Monday to you, and welcome back. After another, anybody watch that Redskins game last night? That wasn't so good. That was not a good one. The Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, they soundly trounced the Washington Commanders. They're called the Commanders. Still dress a lot like the Redskins, but they got rid of that Native American because liberals are wiping out any reference in the public square to Native Americans, to Native American Indian tribes, and they want to get rid of that. Amazing stuff. But that was something to watch. It was not the best game. I think that the game last weekend was a much better game, much more fun. But it was interesting. And as a result, the mayor of Philadelphia, who came out last week and tragically misspelled the word Eagles, while she was chanting. And what was it, E-G-L-S-E-S? She misspelled, she mangled the spelling of the word Eagles. She came out yesterday after the Eagles won, beating the Washington football team. And she thought she was being funny, and we'll get to that because she came out, oh, I know how to spell Eagles, and she came out to spell Eagles. And then people had to jump in to help her with her new spelling of the word Eagles because they thought she's going to mangle this too. She's not so bright. She's not so good. Amazing stuff. And speaking of illegal alien criminals that the Democrat Party invited into the country by the millions and distributed throughout the country so that you and your daughter are in grave danger every day because the Democrat Party likes that. They're the left. They despise humanity and the United States of America. But the Trump administration is actually out there rounding up illegal alien gang members and stuff by the hundreds, soon to be by the thousands. And that's got them really upset, too. The Democrat Party, very, very upset because they're not happy unless they're not happy. And boy, are they happy right now because they couldn't be unhappier than they are right now, which is, of course, the only thing that makes them, what? Happy. That's how they're happy. That's amazing stuff. We've got a lot for you today. President Trump on the march. He is everywhere, and this is what people keep saying. He's on the march, and what else is he? He's off to a roaring start. They've got all these friends, and that's really got the Democrat Party, and that means the news media, too, outraged. And JD Vance, amazingly, went on Face the Nation on CBS yesterday with Margaret Brennan, who's not a journalist at all. You may remember it was Margaret Brennan that pulled the plug on J.D. Vance's microphone when she fake fact-checked him inaccurately with a fake fact-check Margaret Brennan did, and pulled his microphone, cut off J.D. Vance's microphone during the vice presidential debate. And then still he agreed to go on her stupid Sunday morning TV show that nobody watches anymore, even though it used to be a big deal before they mangled everything. The so-called journalists in the United States of America. Remarkable stuff. Also, I've got my friend Luis Quinones this morning sent me an amazing story that we should all be paying attention to because commies are everywhere. Here's the invitation from the Honduran president, who is, according to some at least, a narcotics president, the president of Honduras. His name is Xiomara Zelaya. He's called for an urgent meeting of the CELAC. It's the CELAC. An urgent meeting on the 30th. That's in 3 days because they're very upset. You'll never guess the CLAC, what they're upset about. They're upset that Donald Trump is president now. And these people, the Caribbean states and Latin American states, it's an organization formed for Latin American and Caribbean corruptniks, criminals that run narcocracies and gangocracies. Well, the narco president of Honduras, Xiomara Zelaya, he's called for an urgent meeting of the Central American Caribbean leaders in Latin America to meet at the capital of Honduras on January 30th. Today is January 27th, by the way, so that's in only 3 days, to urgently discuss the aggressive and bullying attitude of the United States of America. See, that was all fine when Joe Biden was there because he's, the favorite person of the Sinaloa cartel and the Chinese drug cartels. They all love Joe Biden. But they want an urgent meeting of the Latin American and Caribbean states to form a unified front against the imperialist aggression of Donald Trump. So the presidents of Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, and Venezuela, Brazil, Colombia, Chile, which is a bowl of soup in AOC's house, Bolivia, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, list the one that's not a beep hole country, and Haiti, cannibals, eating dogs and cats. They intend to participate, and the president of Colombia will speak as well. So here we are. It's like the non-aligned countries movement during the Cold War, where the beep-hole countries of the world, run mostly by criminals, get together and form a coalition against us, the United States of America. And who's with them? Who's with them, Michael? Who's with these commies? Because they're a bunch of socialist commies, anti-American, anti-capitalist, steal everything, kleptocrats, narco leaders in their narcocracies. And who's with them? The Democrat Party is with them in the United States of America. That's who's with them. And who does that mean? The media, the American media. The Democrat Party and the American media are with the anti-American, Latin American, Cuban, Caribbean, narcocracy leaders, and honestly, the bad guys everywhere. Just amazing stuff. So, yes, the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, they call themselves CELAC. CELAC. Aren't you CELAC intolerant? I'm a little bit CELAC intolerant. I try to avoid CELAC whenever possible. In my food and stuff. I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. advises against consuming too much CELAC. Yeah, the community of Latin American and Caribbean states, and they're trying to, commies run by commies and drug traffickers, they're trying to form a coalition against the United States because now we're sending their criminals back to them. Their criminals are coming back to them. And there's some good stuff on that, too, because, Colombia. Trump trashes Colombia for turning away U.S. deportation flights. We filled a couple of airplanes with illegal aliens from Colombia, the land of cocaine. And who's the idiot yesterday that tweeted out, our Valentine's Day is coming up. We get flowers from Colombia. Yeah, generally packed with packets of cocaine, but never mind that. And sometimes, human trafficking. But Trump trashes Colombia for turning away U.S. deportation flights, announces urgent and decisive retaliatory measures. Now, this is kind of an amazing thing because the corrupt socialist communist president of Colombia said, we're not taking flights of Colombians deported from the United States. We're turning them away. And President Trump said, okay. Then the conversation just changed, you see. So President Donald Trump denounced Colombia's President Gustavo Petro for turning away U.S. deportation flights and announced a series of retaliatory measures in a post on Truth Social, which he created and owns and made billions of dollars on, and the Democrats said was going nowhere because everything is a lie when they start speaking. So he posted on Truth Social Sunday afternoon, that's yesterday. The president argued the rejection of the military flights carrying Colombian deportees represents a national security threat. And he said, I just informed the two repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia, President Trump said. Said this order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and public safety of the United States. And Trump said that he's going to immediately take the following urgent, decisive retaliatory measures. An emergency 25% tariff would go into place on all goods coming into the United States, including your cocaine, Petro. In 1 week, said the 25% tariffs would be raised to 50%. He said a travel ban, and immediate visa revocation of the Colombian government officials, and all allies and supporters, right? And visa sanctions on the party members, family members, supporters of the Colombian government. And then you'll never guess what happened, you see, because the next headline, just in all capital letters, Colombia's president instantly caves to Trump threat, offers his own plane to pick up deportees from the United States and bring them back to Colombia, where they can all do cocaine freely in the streets with rifles in their hands. And that's what the Democrats want to turn the United States into, a third world narcocracy run by a third world banana boat moron, because the left is here and they're not liberals. So pretty funny. President Trump says that we're going to immediately impose 25% tariffs, goes up to 50% in a week. Visas for you and your pals, gone. You can't come in anymore, your party members, your family members. And enhance customs and border protection inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. And then, interestingly, the Colombian president buckled immediately, without hesitation, in no time at all. And now he said, oh, would you like to use my plane? You can use my plane. It's almost like a satire. I'll send my plane to pick up illegals and bring them back, because President Trump, remember, he talked about using tariffs as a threat, as a tool, and how it would have the desired effect without ever having to impose tariffs. And the news media, the Democrats, they yelled and screamed, and they were lying about everything all the time. And now President Trump has been proven right again. Isn't that amazing? Because these people lie about everything. Yeah, Colombian president responds to Trump in wild rant on white slavers, Sacco and Vanzetti. I resisted torture, and I resist you. Yeah, torture from communists, you dumb pig. You, just amazing stuff. So he immediately buckled and gave in. Isn't that great? Also, an amazing episode at a Chicago elementary school on Friday when the Secret Service showed up at this elementary school on business, federal law enforcement business, and the idiot Democrats running the place into the ground, the school system in Chicago, they turned them away because they said, you're immigration and customs enforcement, and we're protecting illegal gang members from beep-hole countries who will rape and murder our students, and we're on their side. So Chicago Elementary School turned away agents they feared were from ICE. Turned out they were from the Secret Service. Oops, they don't care, though. Amazing stuff. And I love this, the leader of Haiti. Is he a cannibal? Does he eat cats and dogs? The leader of Haiti says, they call him a Haitian leader. That'd be a heck of a job title to have in your business card. Says Trump policies will be catastrophic for his nation. Sorry, too late. I don't think anything could be more catastrophic for your nation than what you've already done. Remarkable people. Yeah, and Vice President Vance also brought to bear on Friday to break the tie in the Senate to get Pete Hegseth in there as defense secretary. Pete Hegseth he's been confirmed now, and 3 Republicans voted against their own party because they're not. Now, Pete Hegseth showed up at the Pentagon today We'll have that for you as well. Jaw-dropping number of inmates in women's prisons are actually men because of Democrats. That's coming up as well. We are at 888-630-9625.
I'm making vegetarian chile.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Okay. Joe Biden and the Democrats, and what is it with these men in women's prisons? The Democrats are not well. They're really not well. I mean mentally unwell. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Talk to the nice people, to real Americans. Let's go to Jack calling from California, which is a big, crazy state. Hey, Jack, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, you are hilarious. You're CELAC intolerant. That is a good line. That is a good one. Hey, so as you know, your buddy John Podesta, Hillary's friend, just spent $375 billion. You know, he had to do it fast. $375 billion with a B. Green New Energy money. It came from the Inflation Reduction Act, I believe, or the infrastructure bill. So somehow 375 ended up with John Podesta. I don't know how that works. He had to spend it fast before Trump comes in. I don't hear one senator. Well, it's only $250 to rebuild California, so 375 is a lot of money. But not one senator, not one congressman or House rep. Trump, I haven't heard anybody in administration. Shouldn't they audit this money? This is a slush fund. It's going to come in against Youngkin in a few months. 375, 10% of that, 5% of it could destroy our country in the next couple of years. So can you tell us where the money went, Chris?
Yeah, it's a fun idea. You're right. The so-called, the Green New Deal incentives, and it was in the Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't reduce inflation. But you're right, did create hundreds of billions in slush fund money for the left and their pals so they can buy yachts and watch their homes burn in the Pacific Palisades from the ocean because it's a better view from there. But you're right, $375 billion. And where did that money go? Where is that? Is there none left over? I was unaware, Jack, that they had finished distributing, not spending, but distributing that money. And it all goes to Democrat Party allies and pals, right? Fundraisers and it's the Democrat Party's circle fest in a hot tub, and they got a hold of $375 billion more from the Inflation Reduction Act, but it's for Green New Deal, which is a mental illness all by itself. Jack, you're in California. All sane people need to get out of California. I do love the Columbia story. The Columbia story is a great story because it is the Trump effect on parade, playing for everyone to see. And our corrupt news media will lie to us about it because that's what they do on behalf of the Democrat Party. Remarkable people. The radical left-wing extremists at Mediaite with the headline, "Just in all capital letters. Colon. They do love their colons. Colombia's president instantly caves to Trump threat. Offers his own plane to pick up deportees they had rejected." Shortly after President Donald Trump threatened to impose a variety of sanctions against Colombia for rejecting U.S. deportation flights, Colombia's president promptly reversed course, offering to send his own personal plane to pick up the deportees. In a statement, which he naturally, because he's a communist, issued through CNN, less than an hour after Trump announced the sanctions, and he didn't even announce the sanctions, he announced that, that this would be the consequence if you keep this up. The Colombian government and their president there, Gustavo Petro, said he would offer his own plane to transport the illegal aliens in the United States back to Colombia. The government of Colombia, under the direction of President Gustavo Petro, has arranged the presidential plane to facilitate the dignified return, normally that would be dead bodies, of the compatriots who were going to arrive in the country today in the morning, coming from deportation flights, the Colombian government statement said. This measure responds to the government's commitment to guarantee decent conditions. Take your decent conditions and cram 'em, clown. Trump, in a statement posted to Truth Social it took moments, threatened to impose immediate 25% tariffs on Colombia, as well as a travel ban and other decisive retaliatory measures against the members of the government and their families and their allies. And they said, oh, no, we can't have that. We'll take the illegal aliens back. Not only that, I'll send my airplane just in case, because, just amazing stuff. I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia, Trump wrote. This very order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and public safety of the United States. And earlier in the day, Petro, the socialist communist president in Colombia, said, I cannot make migrants stay in a country that does not want them. But if that country sends them back, it should be with dignity, maybe Rolls-Royce limousines or Gulfstream jets. What do you think? And respect for them and for our country. A migrant is not a criminal. No, an illegal migrant is a criminal. And these are all illegal migrants because they broke the law when they came in illegally and didn't immigrate to the country in the legal way. And then once they got here, so many of them committed many, many more crimes. But you guys, can I just say, you guys, you stinking guys, you got nothing. Honestly, what's the matter you? And since I mentioned it, I should get to this too, because this is pretty wacky. And the Daily Caller, the wonderful people at the Daily Caller have this story. And the headline is, jaw-dropping number of inmates in women's prisons are actually men. But they are all Democrats. They are all, because, why do you think we build prisons? President Donald Trump signed an executive order Monday barring biological males who account for 15% of inmates in women's federal prisons from occupying women's federal detention facilities. The order, which prohibits federal funds for gender transition medical procedures, drugs, and treatments, mandates that the federal government only recognize male and female sexes and requires inmates to be housed according to their biological sex. Now, listen to this crazy thing. Of the 10,047 total inmates in women's federal prisons, right? 10,047 women in federal prisons. 1,538 are biological males. See, you don't need to use the word biological there. They're males. And since they're prisons, they're adult males. They're men. And they're sentenced to prison, and they say, hey, I'm a woman. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier when I was committing all those crimes, but I'm actually a woman. And therefore, I'm going to have to go to a ladies' prison where things will be very, very different for me than they would be in a men's prison, right? And the Biden administration says, oh, yeah, this guy's a woman. You can tell by his male genitalia and his beard and his hairy chest and hairy back and by the crimes he committed that he's a woman. And the Democrats say, yeah, whoever says he's a woman is a woman, as far as I'm concerned. And that's because of, brain damage and mental illness. And they can't tell. They've abandoned biology and science. We've got a Supreme Court justice that did the same thing, as a matter of fact. And she's quite something. She's breathtaking, isn't she? And she's probably in favor of this because she doesn't know what a woman is either.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? Mm-hmm. No, I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, now a member of the United States Supreme Court, because Democrats, and that was a woman asking a woman, can you tell me what a woman is? And the second woman has no idea what a woman is because she's a Democrat, and with the brain damage and everything and the mental trauma that has been inflicted upon them by the Democrat Party, these people, these chuckleheads, I'll just try to keep it clean, call them chuckleheads. So now 10,047 women in federal prisons in the United States, 1,538 are men in women's prisons, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. They've got a website, and here's a link to the website for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall ensure that males are not detained in women's prisons or housed in women's detention centers. The Donald Trump executive order reads, the presidential order reads, and it adds that no federal funds should be expended for any medical procedures, treatment, or drug for the purpose of conforming an inmate's treatment, right, an inmate's appearance to that of the opposite sex. So the Democrats, they definitely want us, the taxpayers, to pay for convicted criminals to go to men to go to women's prisons and then have their chop, fizz, oh, what a relief it is, genital mutilation surgery and the pills and everything else. The Democrat Party has a severe case of gender dysphoria, of gender dysfunction. The Democrat Party should not be listened to on any scientific matter or biological matter, and they should certainly be kept away from the children, shouldn't they? The executive order by Donald Trump also reversed the past policy, Democrat policy, of allowing biological males to ostensibly single-sex domestic abuse shelters for women and mandated that government-issued identification reflect the bearer's biological sex, meaning no X. They love X, don't they? Latinx and Gender X and Gen X. And, Elon Musk likes X, too. He's got SpaceX and changed Twitter to X. He likes X. So a remarkable stuff. But the Democrats, oh, yeah, you can put your gender down as X because you're mentally ill, and we want to acknowledge that. The Independent Women's Forum, IWF, the wonderful people. I work with people from the Independent Women's Forum, and they're just great, and they do great work. A conservative nonprofit advocacy group celebrated the end of what it called utter unfairness of allowing men into women's spaces. Well, that's what they do everywhere, isn't it? From junior high schools and high schools to college sports and locker rooms. And the Democrat Party needs to be stopped. They're completely nuts. The radical left-wing extremist terrorists at the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, used to be a legitimate organization, decried the order as a plan to erase transgender people's existence under the law. No, just in women's prisons and women's spaces. Remember when the ACLU represented women's spaces? I remember that. And women's interests. Several pro-LGBT, that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender organizations. That's but L is G, right? Isn't L G? And if you're B, aren't you really L or G? Huh? I think really if you're B, you're either L or G. You gotta, and if you're L, you're definitely G. If you're G and you're a woman, and you know what that is, then you're L, And T is another thing altogether. See Dave Chappelle's comedy routine about that. Several pro-LGBT advocacy organizations, such as Lambda Legal, have already signaled the intention to mount a legal challenge. Should you say mount a legal challenge in this context? Against the executive order, arguing it's unconstitutional and violates existing law. The Democrats have got a lot of things they've got to sort out. I wish they'd do it in private, though. Don't you? It used to be polite to take care of these family matters in private and not be such a, public nuisance. Just amazing. Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz grilled Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn for allowing a biological male and convicted serial child rapist into a women's facility in May, accusing Judge Netburn of being willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology. Well, Ted Cruz is, of course, 100% right about that, and any school child can see that. And by the way, keep them away from the school children. Did I mention to keep them away from the school children? Because these people. Several incidents of rape and sexual assault involving biological male inmates in female facilities have surfaced in recent years. A biological male at Rikers Island in New York City was convicted in 2022 of raping a female inmate while housed in the women's prison wing. Similar case occurred in 2024 where another biological male, that's a man, was convicted in California of raping a female inmate in the showers of the prison's female facilities. Sure, it's unclear when the transfer of biological men to men's prison facilities will begin. But the Democrats are very angry about it. They really don't want to see that because, isn't that amazing? Our Democrat Party. Okay, let's take another phone call, Michael. I got to tell you, one of the things I'm looking forward to is JD Vance on Face the Nation yesterday with a political advocate posing as a journalist by the name of Margaret Brennan. Is she a man? Because I know Democrats, a lot of Democrats named Margaret are men. It's kind of weird. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Barry calling from Frederick, Maryland. Oh, Barry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
You're a smart guy, smarter than me. I don't understand why we're flying these illegal immigrants all the way back to their home countries by, 100 at a time. Why aren't we putting them on trains and buses and taking them to the border and just frog marching them back into Mexico? Mexico helped these people enter our country. They gave them food, shelter, medical attention. They even gave them pamphlets on how to sneak into our country, and once they get in here, who to contact, what these different non-governmental organizations. Let's let Mexico deal with these people. I don't understand. This slow drip is going to take forever to get these criminals out of our country.
Well, it's a good point, and it's a fair point. Now, if we catapult them, and I endorse the use of catapults, if we catapult them by the tens of thousands over the U.S.-Mexico border and the wall, and they hit the ground, the ground can be pretty soft, and they hit the ground there, chances are pretty good they're going to get up. And if it's just a 1-hour walk back into the United States, they're probably going to walk that 1 hour back into the United States. Well, I think the Trump people are just trying to give them a longer walk.
But why can't we keep our troops on the border to prevent them from coming back in?
Well, and keep our borders.
That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah, well, that's a good and fair question. Why don't we secure our border? Then we can just send them back to Mexico. Absolutely true. The Biden-Harris administration, they were selling off the border wall at pennies on the dollar, 5 cents on the dollar, to Democrat Party pals who then tried to sell it back at $2 on the dollar for a 400% profit because they're Democrats and they're crooks. You're right, though. I mean, I understand what you're saying, certainly, Barry, is why do we have to send them all the way back there? Mexico did facilitate this. Let Mexico deal with them. I've got a story of one Central American country that is offering to take back even Venezuelans, and we should send lots of them there. And, Barry, I got to say, we should send a bunch of them to Martha's Vineyard while we're figuring out what to do with them. And maybe burned out areas of California. They'd just loot the place then. Maybe we don't want to do that. Martha's Vineyard, we should send thousands of them to Martha's Vineyard and then ask the Democrats there, including Barack and Michelle Obama, if they're in favor of illegal immigrant flights back to their home countries. See what the Democrats think then. Remember, they called out the military when there were like 60 illegal aliens in Martha's Vineyard. They called out the military. And they hijacked all these illegal aliens and brought them to a military base on Cape Cod and locked them up, rifle butts, bayonets, the whole thing. But I get you, Barry. We do have to secure our border first. Then we can return to the catapult. Now, the Democrats are being chased out of their offices and run out of town, and not soon enough. The radical left-wing extremists at Common Dreams with the headline. We're just talking about men and women's prisons and stuff. And, Merrick Garland, who went to Harvard and then he went to Harvard Law School, and so he's wrong about absolutely everything. He used to be from the North Shore of Chicago. He used to be a normal person. Not anymore. Harvard saw to that. And in 2023... March of 2023, Merrick Garland was asked about men and women's prisons, and listen to this BS response.
Are you concerned that if a biological male is sent to a female prison, that could be a risk to female prisoners?
I think every person in prison has to be dealt with dignity and respect. That determinations of the safety questions you're talking about have to be made on an individualized basis and not categorically.
Well, you're the one who decided categorically to put any man who says he's a woman into a woman's prison. That's categorical. They use the words, but they don't know what they mean, honestly. The headline from the radical left-wingers at Common Dreams, we are all paying the price for Merrick Garland's abject failure. Decades from now, historians will memorialize Garland not as a dedicated public servant, but as the head of the Justice Department, who brought a butter knife to an existential gunfight with Trump, quickening our collective descent into neo-fascism. Then they clicked their heels and did the Hitler salute, and they, chanted from the river to the sea.